Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh Ba'Shem Abishai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity. To the 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathens that look like the heathens. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And I watched a video on TikTok earlier that really got me angry, because you had this Kunalite that was big up in Esau, Edom. He was big up in a Edomite neighborhood gas station he was in. He was bragging about how everything is sitting out and you couldn't do this in a black neighborhood because niggas was still this and niggas was still that, and and the truth of the matter is he's telling the truth. But the flip side of that coin is that this is someone who didn't mention that the nigga in America was created. See what you're looking at on the screen. The first is 4 videos. It says 8 successful and aspiring black communities destroyed by white neighbors. All right. That's the first video. The second one is a rare 1920s footage of all black towns living a dream in the National Geographic. All right. Then Black Town flooded. It wasn't black towns. It was towns. All right. I think it was like 20 something of them that were flooded. All right. So, and let me pull down. And the end result of that is this, the 4th video. Then you see a so-called black man, all right, with his family. And then you see the screen split, and you see a pregnant so-called black woman with her child and no man in the picture. All right. That wasn't the case when you went back to the time when these towns were flooded, and they don't like to acknowledge that. And neither are the youth taught that. So they have these very racist notions because they've been taught that, you're just some animals. All right. But, that was a part of the project. All right. And the scientific project was to stack you on top of each other in project buildings, in row houses, food deserts, and give you no opportunity. All right. This was all a plan done with hate and jealousy. All right. So let me get a couple scriptures. Let me get and this is totally organic, because that video was been hot on my spirit ever since I saw it this morning. And it was interrupting my workout. I had to turn off the social media and put on some music. I got so, heated by it. And I wish I was trying to find a video. That's the sad thing about TikTok. You can't just go into your history. And see what you watched, and you can't click back to something. And if you can, I don't know how to do that. But let me get Isaiah. Actually, let me get Psalms first. Book of Psalms in 83. All right, because they made a plan to come against our people, to hide who we were, to ensure that we wouldn't know who we were, that we'd have no grounding. All right, they stole our heritage and gave us false ones. All right, this is Psalms 83:1, and it reads, a psalm of Asaph: keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. O power. That's what the word God means. All right. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, that they that hate thee have lifted up their head. So the Lord has enemies. His people has enemies. And if you're the enemy of the Lord, then you're the enemy of his people. Flip side of that, if you're the enemy of the Lord's people, you're also the enemy of the Lord. All right. As a matter of fact, before I continue in Psalms 83, I'm going to go to Luke, the 1st chapter, one of my favorite chapters. I'm going to start at about 67. And it reads, I'm going to start at 68. And it reads, blessed be the Lord power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. All right, so because Psalms 83 is talking about the enemies of his people. Who? The Lord, Yahweh's. All right, Yahweh's people. All right, Yahweh's people. And he have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. So it's all about the house of David. While we waiting for our king, we're waiting for both our kings, King Yahushai and King David. All right, because why? 68 it said he redeemed his people. He gave his blood. He fulfilled prophecy, and died. And redeemed us back to the Lord. And not all of he did redeem all of us, but first the elect. All right, the 144,000, and the rest of the elect. The innumerable multitude of the elect that's scattered among the heathens that look like the heathens. All right, he's going to gather them up from out of those places where they are, from among the Chinese, from among the white people, from among the Africans, from among the Indians, etc., and so on and so on. All right, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, for that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. And all you have to do is just turn on the TV or turn on TikTok and see how they all hate us. You see these. I saw a video yesterday of a black guy. I don't think he was really blind, but he just to show you, he's blind and he's approaching steps and he's reaching out to grab people's arm to help them down the stairs. And the way that the white people especially, and some Moabites too, some Ammonite Moabites too, but the white people especially, where they would snatch away from him and step back and look at him as if they were hoping he would trip and fall down the stairs and not help him. Out of probably about 20 people, it was probably 2 people that actually, when they realized, when looked over, because if you just grab somebody's arm when they're walking, you're gonna, so that's you're gonna get a strange reaction. If they don't see you and you grab their arm, they're gonna turn and look at you like what? But when they turn and see that it's a blind man trying to walk down the stairs, all this defensive running, it was irritating. It actually made me angry, man. But it just goes to show you that the other nations hate us. All right? And why? Because inherently, that some of them know this history, all right, and it's been taught to them. These are ancient hatreds. This isn't something new. All right? And it says, verse 71, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercies promised to our fathers and to remember his holy covenant. The oath which he sware unto our father, Abraham, personal pronoun, not everybody's father, all right, that he would grant us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear. All right, so you get to Galatians, and it said, if you are if you believe, then you are the children of Abraham. That's talking about his scattered seed, the ones that believe. All right, and it clearly says of the flesh, and not all the flesh, but according to Isaac, and Isaac it was called, and so Isaac had 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. Esau got put by. Esau is the so-called white man, and this is why he displays so much hate. Now let's go back to toward us more than anyone else. Back to Psalms 83. All right, I think we're in verse 2 and verse 3, and it reads, "And they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against our hidden ones." See, we've been hidden. All right, I was just talking to one of my TikTok followers. Her name's Amber. I won't say her last name, but she talks to me all the time, and we just had a conversation about what she kept calling angels, and I explained to her that the angels are and she was talking about that I would see the video and the big African American looking guys that got off the UFOs, and I told her those were angels and they're not UFOs. They're not aliens. Those are the chariots of Israel, and those are the messengers. Those are the brothers to the Israelites. And those are the chariots of Israel. And I broke that all down to her. All right. So they've hidden who we are. All right. It says, "They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." All right. "For they have consulted together with one consent, and they are confederate against thee." And then it breaks it down. "The tabernacles of Edom," that's so-called white people. Right, the Ishmaelites, all right, those are the who you refer to as the Arabs. "Of Moab," all right, those are the what you call the Chinese, all right, "and the Hagarenes," more Ishmaelites, more Arabs, all right, the sons of Hagar, even though it's through your father, so they going off with that. "Gabal," also more Arabs, so-called Arabs, All right. And Ammon, that would be the Japanese. And Amalek, those are the small hatters. The people who run around saying, speaking the new Latin-based, Europeanized version of Hebrew. All right, speaking Yiddish was basically is a Germanic, Slavic language written with Hebrew characters to appear to be Hebrew. That's exactly what it is. All right, I have two dictionaries behind me that identify it as such. All right, it says, and the Philistines, those would be Hamites, not the Palestinians, because Philistines are the Palestinians, but not the Palestinians that are in Palestine today. Those are Ishmaelites. All right, the Philistines will be actual Hamites, what you would call Africans today. All right, with the inhabitants of Tyre, also what you would call Africans today. All right, those were all the people that lived just east of Western Asia. Western Asia is what that's what they erroneously and falsely call the Middle East. That's Western Asia. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to show that map. I've done it. Go watch some of my other videos. But I will tell you that Saudi Arabia, Oman, the United Arab Emirates, Yemen, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Turkey, Iran, that's all Western Asia, not the Middle East. I repeat, not the Middle East. That's something that they made up in the 1800s. All right, I have a map of Asia. The is ASA1, A as in alpha, S as in socks, A as in alpha, -1. All right, the Lambert azimuthal equatorial area projection map of Asia, and it'll pop up. All right, and it separates Asia from Europe, from Africa. There's no such thing as Eurasia. They made that up. All right, Asia was a land full of dark people. So was Europe. So was Africa. They were all dark in the ancient time, and the only people that were pale complected were the Edomites, who also came from Western Asia. All right. They didn't get light because they lived on the other side of the equator, and all that scientific mumble jumble and lies, that pseudoscience that they made up to try to hide the truth. All right, but nevertheless, as you see, Psalms 83, the Lord has enemies. Okay, and they try to hide who we are, and hide who they are. So let's play this first video. It's only about 3 minutes long. Let's see. See, they didn't like that we were becoming successful and acquiring wealth, etc., etc. All right? To suppress black voters, Atlanta newspaper published false claims of black men raping white women. All right? And no, white women were coming getting stretched. They were going to Pound Town. All right? You know what is pink? They booty hole brown. All right? They was going to Pound Town on their own. They wasn't getting raped. That's a lie. They would always find their way to the Jew joints, where Jake was. Number 2. Same scenario, same playbook. Fake rapes. Number 3, and before we play number 3 too, they came into these neighborhoods and all these beautiful homes and businesses that these blacks had built up. They were confiscated by the banks and then redistributed back out to white people. And they were keeping these people's banks accounts and everything. right? So number three, the Chicago race riots, that was called the Black Belt here in Chicago, which rivaled, which was what, according to what I've read, was even greater than Tulsa, Oklahoma. They were doing it big in the Black Belt, and they destroyed it. And the evidence of the greatness of it, of those mansions, if you're in Chicago and you're on the south side, on what they call the low end, Bronzeville, and you, because Edomites are moving all into there and buying up those gigantic homes that those blacks once had, and they're turning them into condos. But a lot of those houses and apartment buildings were owned by, they were single family homes. The whole families lived in them. All right, one family. Okay, number three. It was more than 1,000 families, because that area was huge, and they're showing you all these little, these little wooden places burned. There were gigantic, turn of the century stone homes that are still there to this day, which were all confiscated. All right, a lot of them have landmark status, all throughout the 30s, the 40s, even going into the 20s, heading toward downtown. All right. Number four. They made a movie about this one with Ving Rhames. Same playbook, a rape accusation. Washington, D.C. And this was called the Red Summer, too. 1919 was called the Red Summer, but it was happening before and after that as well. Because I don't know if Elaine, Arkansas happened in 1919. We'll see if that's in this list. All right. But pretty much the same thing. Wow. See, the sum of 1919. I think that's all there is, yeah. So this was an excuse to destroy this prosperity, all right? And so at this time, black families were together, mothers and fathers. There wasn't no gangs. There was no, there wasn't no getting pregnant outside of, you got pregnant, you got married. Yeah. So the families were together. There wasn't no gang banging. There was no stealing and all this craziness. All these little people running around sagging with these ugly, unclean, ungodly dreadlocks in their head and all this other mess that's going on. All right. They created that with the policies that followed, that removed the so-called black man from the house, elevated the black woman over him. They wouldn't allow them to own businesses. They wouldn't give them home loans. All right, they stopped. They removed certain things out of the school, so they didn't learn how to become plumbers and carpenters and all that, and mechanics in school. Like, they took everything away from them. All right. And what they do, they redline them. They force them into neighborhoods and the whole redlining. So, and this was all doing Jim Crow as well. So they did this doing Jim Crow. So, and still, if you ventured outside your neighborhood, you can get beat up and get hung. But that wasn't enough. These whites just were so these Edomites, no, there's no such thing as white. That's something they made up. Were just so hateful toward Jake. All right, they would do exactly what you're seeing, and then they'll call this critical race theory when you expose these truths. Why? Because you know what? Because the people alive now, they see their pawpaw, they see their nana, they see their Uncle Louie and their Uncle Tom. All right, beating and burning down the houses of innocent, brown people. Now this number 7 was doing the movie Gangs of New York. They had this they gave you a vision of this draft riot, okay? Where the same thing was happening. They started beating, hanging, and murdering so-called blacks. And it posed. Let's go back. Let's see if we can freeze frame right there. That was number 7. Because guess what? You can make out these. You could actually find these people. You can use facial recognition and find exactly who these people are today, who their descendants are today. All right. These are the same people that talk about, they're good and great citizens. The same people that coon was defending. All right. Trying to make my brothers, the Judites, out to be just these wild hooligans. All right. That's something that they became. And they became that under your guidance, under your way of life, under your rules, under your democracy. Number 8 and final. So, as you can see, then you have the black towns drowned, all right, the drowned towns. And then here, you can see they split the man and took the man out of the house, man. But let's, there's a lot to be paid. They got a lot to pay for, man. That's all I can say. Let me go to Lamentation. All right. Four and 21. And it reads, Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee, and thou shalt be drunken, and shall make thyself naked. So all this death and murder and rape, all right, and pillaging that you saw is going to come back onto them double, which is what they've always feared. All right, so now their fears are actually going to come true. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. So, this last punishment this is the end of our punishment. All right, we still have to go through Jacob's trouble, and the 2/3 are about to get what they're about to get. All right, but Esau Edom is about to get what he's about to get. And he said if he does, the Lord, roughly paraphrase, someone could put it on the comment board, but he said what he did to us, he's going to do to our enemies 1,000 times, greater, 1,000 times more. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sin. So, and that goes for Ammon, Moab, Tyre, you know, Ishmael, the Hagarenes, Amalek, all of them. They're all going to pay. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash, Wa Abba Babal, Kwam Yasarala, Shalom.